You may recall that earlier this summer, the Wall Street Journal said Canada belonged at the kids' table of NATO spending. We're only devoting about 1.2% of our GDP to national defense. The NATO goal is around 2%. Now, granted, even under the Harper Conservatives, it didn't rise to as high as 1.5%. But since the Liberals have come back in 2015, it's fallen to 1.2%, puts us very near the bottom of all the NATO countries in defense spending, because the Liberals don't understand the military. They don't understand national security. It's one of the reasons why they're not worried about Chinese interference, because they don't understand national security. And the fact that they don't understand national security and they're not spending money on our military is the reason we're not in what's called AUKUS, Australia, the UK, and US, which is a new Pacific security pact against Chinese aggression. We weren't even told it was being formed until after it was announced. No one trusted Canada enough in Australia, the UK, or the US to let us know they were forming this new alliance, much less ask us to join. So we do belong at the kids' table, and as long as Justin Trudeau and the Liberals are unserious about national defense, that's going to continue. And I think it's going to continue because they've announced that they're going to cut $1 billion out of our national defense budget. Now, that doesn't sound like a whole lot, because the national defense budget is $36 billion. That's only about 6% of defense spending is coming out in this current budget. But overall, in the government, their attempts to economize, they're only cutting 3% from the rest of the budget. So they're cutting twice as much from defense spending as they are from the rest of the budget. If you want to know why it is that in the last 2 years, only one of our 4 submarines has been to sea, one of 4 has been at sea in the last 2.5 years. And it was only there for 43 days, and it sprung a leak, and it had to be brought back to Halifax. That's the state of our military. We're 16,000 soldiers, sailors, and air crew short of what the National Defense Department would like, and that is based on our current global mission idea. We should be having much bigger missions. We'd have to have far more than 16,000 additional troops in our armed forces, but we don't even have the 16,000 we need for the limited missions we have now. It's pathetic. You remember when the Liberals came back to power in 2015, they said, oh yes, we're going to go big into peacekeeping. That warmonger Stephen Harper, he only had us in NATO missions in hot zones, in live wars. We're going to go back to Canada's mission as a peacekeeper. There has never been a time in the 8 years that the Trudeau government has been in power, never been a time in those 8 years when we had as many active peacekeepers as we had during all of the Harper years. So even when we were in Afghanistan and we were in a hot war, we were still doing more peacekeeping as a nation under Harper than we are doing under Trudeau and the Liberals. It's pathetic what the Liberals have done to our armed forces. And now we hear, this may not sound immediately like it's related, now we hear that the Governor General spends $1,800 a month on dry cleaning. Why is that relevant to the defense budget? Because the Governor General is the Commander-in-Chief of our national defense forces. And if she can spend $1,800 a month on dry cleaning, when we can't even put our submarines in the water, we can't go to Haiti to try and bring order to that country that's now run by narcotics gangs, that's a symbol of what's wrong. The Commander-in-Chief should not be spending $1,800 a month on dry cleaning when we can't even buy sidearms for our troops. Join us on YouTube. Subscribe to us on all the major social media platforms. For Post Media, I'm Lorne Gunter.